Now, come to AI, throw that into the mix. I'm going to give you my stark prediction as to where I think this is going to go. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. But I would love to be proven wrong. Technology is indeed a double-edged sword. Now with AI being so prominent all over the world, the scary thing is this is only the start. But what does AI mean for artists, musicians, and the music industry at large? Let's discuss this. A warm welcome to you, my friend, wherever you may be in the world. So this video is, I guess, a follow-up to one of my most recent uploads, which was this video. And in this reaction video, I reacted to a artificial intelligence, artificially created song. In other words, it was a Depeche Mode song as interpreted by artificial intelligence, and Depeche Mode had nothing to do with it. Now, if you did watch that reaction video, you will probably remember that my reaction was quite confused. As I said, I did not listen to the song beforehand. My reaction was genuine. And sort of looking back at it now, I could see that my reaction generally was one of being quietly startled. And as I said in that video, when I listened to the song, I had a lot of bias. I wanted to hate it, but my reaction showed that I was kind of like, okay, this is not that bad. And in fact, all things considered, and also considering the fact that AI is merely in its infancy, this is just the beginning. A lot there was in place. It was Dave's voice. Okay, the lyrics were a bit silly, but musically, it wasn't that bad. Now, once again, I'm not gunning for it. I'm team human. I'm in it for the human cause. I'm an artist myself. I'm an artist development coach. I coach up and coming artists. So the last thing I want is for AI to take over. Now, it might sound a bit dramatic. It is interesting, though, because technology has always been there to supplement, to aid us, and to make life easier for us. It even goes back to the earlier times, when synthesizers first came onto the scene. Certainly, when I first got into music, I was always part of the synthesizer revolution, and I had friends who were in bands and stuff, and they kind of looked down on me, go, oh, well, you're not really a musician. You're just pressing buttons and it's writing the song for you. Okay, it's a very ignorant thing to say. And even, great electronic artists like the Human League, Phil Oakey, I remember seeing on an interview once, he mentioned something like, synthesizers were great because you could now hold down one key and not have to play an instrument. There's a little bit more to that, of course. I think everyone now knows that it's not as straightforward as pressing a button and the thing just writes a song for you. Synthesizers were a revolutionary act. They were almost quite punkish in their way, in that they were so radical and new. Okay, so there's nothing new about synthesizers now. It's, we've kind of seen it all. But when they first came in, it was radical. I remember when I saw Depeche Mode for the first time, I was like, I heard about this band who played keyboards and they had no drummer. And okay, now it doesn't sound like a big deal now, but back then it was a big deal. It's like, oh my God, where is your drummer? We've got the backing on tape and things like that. And that was sacrilege. The whole sort of conventional music school of thought were very reactionary to this. There was a lot of fear, I think, when synthesizers came out. I remember seeing a scan of a newspaper article from, I think it was about the 1930s or something like that. I wish I had it to show it to you. But it was interesting to read this, and whoever wrote this article, it was written about in the 1930s. They were talking about how we were going to get to a point where machines are going to replace humans. And there's always been a backlash against this. This is the stuff of fiction. It's J.G. Ballard, it's George Orwell, the dystopian future. If you look at a lot of the 80s artists, in the late 70s and the early 80s, a lot of that was based on the science fiction, Clockwork Orange, all that kind of stuff. Gary Newman, arguably my favorite solo artist of all times, his whole body of work was based on this sort of dystopian future where machines take over, and he's trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic world, and he's very scared of it. This has all gone on to inspire many, many artists, and It's a dark subject, but I'm afraid that future is now becoming a reality. Now, I don't want to sound dramatic, and I certainly do not want to sound like a doom merchant, but I think the writing is on the wall. Now, coming back to that AI video, which I reacted to recently, I've since been in touch with the creator of that video, and if you're interested, you can find her YouTube channel in the link in the description below. And while you're at it, do watch my reaction video as well, because it'll make more sense and provide context for this video. Now, I've been in touch with her, and I believe that her YouTube channel was taken down. And, whether you agree with that or not, I personally think it was a bit harsh, because from what I've heard, she had a flawless reputation and there were no strikes. So I believe she is under the process of trying to get her YouTube channel reinstated, but I don't want to go too much into that. I have said to her that her AI interpretation of this song is one of the best I've heard. Now, let me just backtrack a little bit. The moment I did that video, the reaction video where I reacted to the Depeche Mode AI song, the very next day when I opened my email, there were dozens of emails, and I also got inbox messages on all my social media from you guys in the community saying, "Oh, Vaughn, check out my AI song." And I try to be decent. I always try to answer as many queries as I can. So after this had been going on for a few days, I left a message on my public Facebook page, and I just said, "Look, guys, please stop sending me AI songs of Depeche Mode or any other artist. I'm not interested. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm here for real artists." And I think I can now segue into my position in this. I know what it's like to be an artist. I know what it's like to have dreams and to want to do this. And the music industry has always been one of the most difficult industries of all. It always has been. There has been technology that has come along in recent years to make things a bit easier for us. It's now easier than ever for you as an independent artist to self-publish. But with the technology comes a lot of drawbacks. And of course, with the technology, it also means that a lot more people are doing it. So there's just the sea of noise, and you need to dig very hard to find good music. Now, good music is still out there, but then again, what is good? That's a subjective thing, I guess. I do feel now that we are at a point where the technology is just becoming ridiculous. And what I mean by that is, look, technology has always been there to make life easier. In the case of the music industry, we had synthesizers, we had, sequencing programs and things like that. And this was great because electronic music gave people the tool to be able to produce music, even if they weren't, players. And I mean, there are many examples of this. I mean, let's talk about Depeche Mode. Martin Gore. He's not a brilliant pianist or keyboardist. Some will say he's not even a great guitarist. However, he is an outstanding composer. And of course, the technology has allowed us to work in different ways. I guess the problem I have with AI is that AI is basically a tool. We've gotten to a point now with AI where it's not going to just assist you. It's going to do it for you. It's just going to go, there we go. There's the song. Now, and this could be a long video, but just to sort of summarize my feelings on AI, I think where we are now, it's inevitable. Science fiction has always, inspired the future. And it's quite funny if we look at Knight Rider from the 80s, we had a talking car. And you show it to kids now, they'll be like, yeah, that's no big deal at all. And indeed, kids that are born now, I come from a time before the internet. Smartphones came out in 2006. But of course, like my daughter who was born 2 years ago, this is the world. This will make sense to her. So there is an element where they're going to look at me and I'm just going to be like this old man ranting. But the point I'm trying to make is that technology is now at a point where it'll do it for you. And where does that leave us as artists? What revolutionized the music industry and what made things both challenging for the music industry, but also what made things liberating for artists, but also what made things difficult for artists, I guess, was the advent of the MP3. The MP3 was a format which I believe came out, the first time I heard about MP3s was 1999. You've got this format where you can, it's a compressed audio format and you can send it through the internet, and what a wonderful, convenient thing. The problem with that is now, MP3s, a lot of people can't even hear the difference between CD quality and MP3. There is a difference, but a lot of people can't hear the difference, and even if they can, they don't care. The point I'm trying to make is, before MP3s, if you wanted to copy something, you'd have a shitty cassette, or, you'd have a bad recording. Now with MP3, one MP3 goes online and you can just duplicate something. So it became difficult to sell music. And then, of course, we had, with the advent of Spotify, streaming services where you pay $10 a month or £10 a month or €10 a month and you can listen to music. There's been a lot of kickback against Spotify and streaming services, but you're almost at a point where you either have to embrace this technology or you just have to die and fall by the wayside. It's hard enough being an independent artist these days and getting your stuff out there. Hell, it's even hard being a big artist these days. Record companies are trying to make sense of the music industry. Now, come to AI, throw that into the mix. I'm going to give you my stark prediction as to where I think this is going to go. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. But I would love to be proven wrong. But this is where I believe the industry will go. I believe that within the next 5 years from now, what you will see is the consumption of music, or new music that is, really sort of getting less and less. The bad thing to that is there's going to be more people having a go at it as the technology becomes more accessible. You're going to have people putting out songs that they say are their own creations, and they'll never admit to using AI. It's a little bit like auto-tune. No one really wants to endorse it. No one wants to admit to using it, but it's used on most records these days. So you're going to get people using AI to write them hit songs and stuff. Attention spans of people are going to get shorter and shorter. And what's also going to happen is people will have technology, domestic technology available at their fingertips on their smartphones, where they can talk into some kind of app and they'll be able to say something like, could you create me a song that is sung by David Bowie and Aretha Franklin? Let's be random. And it sounds like it was produced by Nile Rodgers in the style of 1930s jazz swing or whatever. And the AI will say, processing, let me do that for you. That's my generic AI voice anyway. And it will do it. And it will spit something out at you and you might go, oh, okay, could you add some, could we add Freddie Mercury as a backing singer into that? Whatever. And then what will happen is you will get these forums that'll spring up online where people exchange these songs and these creations, and there'll be charts, although they'll be illegal because there'll be like these underground charts. Not quite dark web, but it'll be quite underground. And the record companies and independent artists will be up in arms against this, and the record companies will have no way of trying to shut this down. That, my friends, is I think where it's going to go. And where does that leave us as independent artists? Okay, once again, this video is unscripted, as all my videos are. I'm just speaking from, I'd like to say, inspiration. In this case, it's fear. But let me know your thoughts. This is really, really an interesting subject. Once again, the problem with AI is it's not the technology, it is the human element. It's like people sometimes talk about money being the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. Money is an amplifier. If you're a good person, you will do good things with money. If you're a bad person, you'll do bad things with money, and so on. It's like water. You can feed crops with water, or you can drown a person with water. These things are just tools. AI within itself is just a tool. The problem is the human element, because regardless of all the regulation they want to bring in, the human need for power and greed is going to use this in a bad, abusive way. Give me your thoughts, my friends. There is a lot to discuss here. And in fact, I would love to actually do another interview with Gary Newman on this subject and some other artists, because I think AI is going to be a very, very big talking point. Let me know your thoughts. Are you an independent artist? Does this scare you? Or are you just a consumer of music? Let me know. Let's get the discussion going. Lots of love, and I'll see you on the next video. Adios.